The New York Jets are champions of the Blunder Bowl. And welcome aboard, everybody. Michael Cohen here with you on Sports Talk Nation, and glad you could join us this evening as we are going to recap the Jets-Giants matchup that took place this afternoon. This is the Jets come away with a 34-27 victory over Big Blue. This game had many different names throughout the course of the week. It was the Stink Bowl, it was the Toilet Bowl, it was the MetLife Bowl, obviously, because they're in MetLife Stadium, and of course, the Battle for New York gagging rights, as you have two teams going absolutely nowhere. The Jets at 1-7, the Giants at 2-7, two teams where the fan bases have had just pretty much have had enough of when you talk about the coaching staffs for both of these teams. Adam Gase being on the hot seats, Pat Shurmur being on a hot seat, and at the end of this game, it's fair to say that right now Pat Shurmur and whoever was going to end up losing this game, this would end up being the case. That now Pat Shurmur is now on the hottest of hot seats in New York. From the Giant perspective, this was an awful loss. You're 2-7. You're going up against a team that's 1-7, has not played very good football at all, and this is a game that for a lot of fans, a lot of Giant fans, they would have expected to go out there and win this game. And a lot of people thought the Giants had an edge going into this game because of the fact the Jets were a team that had gotten blown out in a number of the losses this year, including that 33-0 disaster against New England a few weeks back, the game against Miami last week where the Jets ended up losing to a Dolphin team that at the time was winless. So the thought process was, here's a Giant team that has been competitive in a lot of these losses. Maybe they find a way to get the victory. Not the case at all. Saquon Barkley completely shut down by this Jet defense. 13 carries and only 1 yard. 1 yard. That is a phenomenal job by this Jet defense. And we'll talk more about what they did in this football game in just a moment, but they completely shut him down and put a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones, who again had another bad outing for the Giants. Yes, he threw for over 300 yards, he threw 4 touchdowns, didn't throw a pick, I get that, but those stats can be deceiving sometimes, and it was here in this case because he again had a lot of trouble securing the football. He bobbled a football on a bad snap. He, of course, had the strip sack fumble against Jamal Adams as Adams came around the corner, took the ball right out of his hand, and dashed into the end zone for the touchdown. There was also what was a fumble, and it was called an incompletion. And the Jets got robbed on this play when Jones is getting sacked on the play. And the ball gets popped up in the air, and it appears the Jets fall in it. I believe it was Jordan Jenkins who fell in it. And that should have been a fumble, but instead was called an incomplete pass. So either way, Jones was under duress the entire day. 6 times the Jets sacked him in the football game. They sacked him at least 9 or 10 times overall when the day was over. He had a rough day, and it was also a really bad day for the head coach. And this is why Pat Shurmur is going to be on a hot seat here for a lot of Giant fans. And this is not going to get any better for the Giants because they go into a bye week this week, folks. They will not play again until, Thanksgiving, the week before Thanksgiving Day weekend, when they go into Chicago to take on the Bears. Pat Shurmur had a terrible game. How is it that your team is down 14-13, you get a touchdown. When Darius Slayton breaks out of containment, there's no Jets anywhere near him. He goes through 5 Jet defenders, so that getting touched into the end zone for the touchdown. Giants appear to be in position to tie the football game, and the Giants go for 2 points. That was just totally bizarre. 2-point conversion, and that attempt failed, obviously. Now, whether that was part of a botched field goal, whatever it was, point is, that was a complete failure for the Giants in that regard. Then the Giants go ahead and start chasing points later in the game. After falling behind 21-13, after the Adams touchdown, the Giants rolled down the field, 5 plays, 75 yards. Nice drive by Jones as he's just trying to carve up that Jets secondary, which is not that good. And he gets the 61-yard touchdown pass to Golden Tate, who had a big game for the Giants. And then the Giants again having trouble with special teams. They can go for the 2-point conversion. They actually get it, then have a holding call. Instead of trying to go for 2 again, they decide to go for the extra point, and they miss it. So nothing working for the Giants at all in this game. And in a lot of ways, they were chasing points the entire day. They do eventually get a 2-point conversion later on, but that sequence of events on special teams and for decision making by the head coach really made me scratch my head a little bit. Then on top of that, you get to the end of the game, and the Jets are in a situation where they are up by only 7 points. You have about 4.5 minutes left in the game, and the Giants are calling all their timeouts. I couldn't believe that. I can understand you call one timeout, maybe you call two at tops, but you got to save at least one timeout in that situation and give yourself a chance later in the game. Giants had no timeout, so by the time the Jets get the football back, they're running almost 2.5 minutes off the game clock. The game is over by the time the Giants get the football back with 18 seconds left in the game. And there was really nothing they could do. So those strategic moves by Pat Shurmur really blew up in his face. Not to mention the Giants couldn't do anything against the Jet pass rush. And a lot of that having to do with a number of injuries that are on their offensive line. Of course, Nate Soldier leaving the ball game in the second quarter with a concussion. That didn't help. I mean, I know he's had a rough year, but, without your big left tackle there, big problem for the Giants for that matter, as they had no way to protect Daniel Jones and no way to create any kind of running room for Saquon Barkley, who again was completely shut down, except with the exception of one pass play that he caught down the sideline that helped jumpstart a Giant drive in the third quarter. Barkley had nothing, no impact in this game for Big Blue. So you're going to see a week now, and you're starting to see it on social media right now. And I know a few Giant fans out there, Doug Rush in particular, who we've had on this show many, many times, pulling up a poll question saying, okay, Giant fans, who do you want to see be the next head coach of the Giants? That talk has started already, as if we haven't heard that talk enough from the Jet fans. And, let's go over to the Jets in this game and talk about what they did and what they did right. For the Jets, yes, they're not going anywhere. This is a team that has no future as far as playoffs are concerned. This was, for them, a really nice win. It's nice to see it for them to get a W. It takes a lot of pressure off of Adam Gase, because here was a week where you have fans flying banners over Manhattan this week on Friday saying, "Fire Adam Gase now." The fans want him going. A lot of people in the media want him going. A lot of radio talking heads want him going. And Christopher Johnson had to come out on Saturday and try to calm things down, saying he's going to be patient with his head coach. Now, do I think Adam Gase should be fired? Yes. I think that he has contributed to the regression of Sam Darnold this season. I think that this team's had a lot of problems this year as far as motivation and as far as preparedness for ball games, and a lot of that lies on the foot of Adam Gase. The whole Jamal Adams thing that got botched, the collegial assembly thing that got botched, a lot of that goes to Adam Gase, who tried to act like he had no impact and no influence on any of those situations, and that he wasn't going to do anything about it when he probably could have. And yes, I agree, he probably should be fired, but the fact is, it's probably not going to happen. It certainly isn't going to happen now, and it certainly isn't going to happen in the season, for that matter, if it does happen at all. Now, that being said, the one thing I like what the Jets did here is they simplified the game plan for Sam Darnold in this game. And the last few weeks have been really rough for Darnold. He's been a turnover machine for the last 3 ball games. And today the Jets simplified everything. A lot of short, precise throws for Darnold, especially in the opening quarter. And you saw the results. He was 7 for 7 on that opening drive, including a phenomenal play where he completely faked out the Giant defense, handing it off to Le'Veon Bell, and a wonderful fake on that part by Darnold. He keeps the ball. Everyone thinks Bell has the football, and Darnold walks right into the end zone for the opening score. And then after the Giants go 3 and out, again, Darnold just precise in his throws. Short pass to Herndon for 7 yards, gets into a 4th and 1. And I like the fact that Adam Gase decided to go for a 4th and 1 right there at the Giant 41. Instead of going punting or kicking a field goal, he goes for it, and they get the ball to Wesco. He gets the first down, and they just keep on going. Eventually, Darnold finds Robbie Anderson for a nice gain of 11 yards, and then hits Jameson Crowder for the 23-yard touchdown as he rolled out. This is when he's at his best, Darnold, when he has the chance to roll out of the pocket and find the open man downfield. And he did that for the touchdown to make it 14-0. Now, what had to drive you crazy was the fact that after that, the Jet offense, again, as we've seen the case over the last, all season, they fell asleep, they disappeared for almost 2 quarters. As the Giants crawled back into the football game and eventually found a way to take the lead, this offense did nothing. for, like I said, 2 quarters. With the exception of the Jamal Adams touchdown, all the Jets mustered was 3 points until the fourth quarter. So that was something that had to really bother you as a Jet fan. And again, Le'Veon Bell, not much of a factor in this football game. Yes, he did have a touchdown later in the game, but only 18 carries, 34 yards. Again, not going to cut it. You have a guy who's been one of the best backs in the sport, and you can't find a way to get him the football more often. To me, it is a problem. And they keep talking about wanting to commit more to Le'Veon Bell. Maybe it's a combination of the fact that this offensive line just isn't that good, but there's just too much reliance and too much pressure being put on this quarterback's shoulders by this head coach and the play calling, for that matter. Now, defensively, and it was kind of a mixed bag a little bit. As I mentioned, the Giants had a lot of big plays. Golden Tate had a huge day, 4 catches, 95 yards. Darius Slayton had a big day, 121 yards receiving on 10 catches. Both of those guys had a couple of touchdowns. And yes, while Daniel Jones did throw 4 touchdowns and no picks, the one thing the Jets did do well is they put up a lot of pressure on the quarterback, 6 sacks. And Jamal Adams, who we challenged a little bit. If you remember the last video that we did, myself and Dan Feuerstein talked about it, and how Jamal Adams hasn't had that great of a season this year. Amid all the trade speculation, he had his best game of the entire season. 9 tackles, 2 big sacks. He got a big sack early in the game that set the tone at the start of the ball game on Daniel Jones that got everything going. And then, of course, the strip sack fumble as he returned it back into the end zone for the touchdown. He had a phenomenal day. And that, to me, that touchdown, the Jamal Adams touchdown, was really a turning point of the game in my mind. Really, even though the Giants would eventually come back, take the lead, to me just felt like this was going to be a Jet afternoon, and it was. I mean, this defense, again, phenomenal. You sit there wondering, where was this all season? Now, again, a lot of that having to do with the fact that the Giants' offensive line has a lot of problems right now, but still, give credit to the Jets. They played lights-out football defensively against the Giants as they found a way in the Blunder Bowl to get a victory over their co-tenants at MetLife Stadium. So here we are, 2 teams. Right now, the Giants are 2-8. They go into a bye week. The Jets 2-7. They will go to Washington this week. Should we dare say winning streak for the Jets? Possible? It's possible. For that matter, as they go down to D.C. to take on the 1-8 Redskins. You never want to take anything to chance, obviously. But a little less pressure on the Jets this week. A lot of pressure now on the Giants after that loss today. So, big day for the Jets. Not such a great day for the Giants. Remember throwing your thoughts in the comments section. What did you think about this game? A lot went down. There was a lot to unpack from this game. It was a wild game, back and forth for much of the afternoon. Remember to comment there, and also like and subscribe right here to Sports Talk Nation, and follow us also on the social media at OpenMikeNJ, and also Facebook.com/OpenMikeProgram. We'll talk to you next time.